Welcome back to the channel. I'm Elliott Delp, and today we are going to be going over the differences of a first focal plane optic versus a second focal plane optic, and we're going to be comparing similarities and differences and kind of what each of them are used for. So let's get right into this video. So, like I said before the intro rolled, we are going to be going over first focal plane versus second focal plane. Both of these optics are widely used, and I'm also excluding one kind of, the fixed magnification. So we're just going to pretend that doesn't exist right now. But we're going to be going over the similarities and differences of each of these different optics, kind of what they're used for, and which one might be best for you depending on what situation you're in. Okay, so let's begin with the second focal plane, and what I would consider to be a little bit more common of an optic. And so right here we have a vortex crossfire. This is a very entry-level second focal plane scope. But I guess the gist of a second focal plane scope is, as you magnify, your reticle does not change size. So your reticle on the 3 magnification versus the 10 magnification will be exactly the same. If your reticle has holdovers, your reticle on the max magnification will work for your holdovers, but your holdovers will not work anywhere in between your magnification. So if you're on anything but the max magnification, your holdovers just will not work without some pretty decent math skills and really understanding and knowing the ins and outs of your optic. So that's kind of the big thing for the second focal plane, is your reticle stays the same. For the first focal plane, as you zoom in, your reticle will grow with your magnification. So you start on your 1 power and your reticle is really little in your field of view, but as you zoom in, your reticle will grow. And what this allows, it allows you to maintain consistent holdovers no matter what power you are on. So if you are on a 6 power and your reticle shows 1 MOA increments, no matter what power you're on, you will still have 1 MOA increments regardless. And that's where the first focal plane shines. It allows for that consistency. Kind of what this first focal plane is used primarily for, or at least what I know it to be used for and what I have experience using it with, is more of long range tactical kind of scenarios, and kind of less for hunting. It's really easy to make adjustments with the first focal plane scope. You never have to think about what you're using it for, and usually it's longer range stuff. Not saying second focal plane can't be used for long range. I have Vortex Viper, and it's second focal plane, and it works great for long range. It's just about what you're really comfortable with. Some of the drawbacks for the first focal plane tend to be price point. So price point will really deter people. They're usually more expensive. This one, I got a Monstrum Tactical right here. This is the cheapest first focal plane scope. It is the cheapest first focal plane scope that I know of. It's $250, and it's a 6-24. And the cheapest Vortex first focal plane scope I know is $400. It's the Diamondback. But they tend to be a little bit pricey. This 4-12 Vortex Crossfire right here, this first focal plane optic, it's really inexpensive. I think it's around $150. I don't know why I started to say 2, which is a great price range. And really, the second focal plane is used primarily for hunting stuff and kind of like your close quarters scenarios, a lot of low power variables are second focal plane because of the nature of the low power variable. So what a lot of the reticles on the LPVOs, like for example the primary arms, the 1-6 I have, I will never have it on a 3 power. So where the second focal plane shines is it's on the 1. The reticle is exactly the same, and you can use your CQB close quarter stuff, and then when you move to your 6, you can, all your holdovers work and your ranging features work, and it's all consistent. And that's with the low powered variables. I'm kind of the same way with the more, like, I guess broad range magnifications, the 4-12s or the 3-9s. I guess I tend to kind of lean towards the second focal plane. As you're either completely zoomed out or completely zoomed in, and I find myself to do that a lot. I'm progressing towards the first focal plane of using all your magnifications when you need to, especially when you start using longer and longer ranges. But usually when you have like a 1-6, you're not shooting really far. You're shooting maybe 300, 400 yards, which is still pretty good distance, but it's not as necessary to have a bunch of different holdovers and different magnifications. So I find the first focal plane low power variables a little yet less useful than I do the larger long range optics. I think first focal plane really shines, like I said, in the long range game, and not really in the, I guess I want to say, under 300 yards. If you're doing stuff under 300 yards, I probably wouldn't really. I don't really think you need it. It's probably, I mean, to each his own. Don't get me wrong, to each his own. But I think you can save money and you can get better quality optic that's second focal plane and just be just as easy. And you can have really consistent holdovers. I'm just going to go back to the primary arms example. When you're on full magnification, I have a holdover on that reticle for 5.56 that goes all the way out to 800 yards. And it's very consistent and it works very well. I don't have to think about it. It just is what it is. So I guess in terms of what it's used, what your use is for it, if you're under 300 yards, if your range that you're going to be shooting at under 300 yards, I'd definitely say just go ahead and go second focal plane. Whatever it may be, if it's a 3-9 or a 4-12 or 6-18, I think is another common one, or a 1-6, 1-4. I would just stick second focal plane. It'll save you money. It'll save you a little headache. Your reticles will be consistent, and you won't have to do too much thinking about it. And that's just from personal experience of mine. I do a lot of shooting, and it's just what I have come to appreciate. Alright? If you're doing longer range stuff, if you're going from 300 to 1,000, and you're going to be using different magnifications, I would definitely say just go ahead and do your first focal plane, especially if you're going to be doing more precision adjustments, calculations, all that stuff. You're going to be writing in your dope book. You're taking this super serious, so just go ahead and go first focal plane, and I don't think you could go wrong. But like I said, to each his own. I know a ton of people that shoot long range and use the second focal plane optics because they don't like how big the reticle gets on their first focal plane, and that's completely understandable. That can definitely be a problem. Your reticle can get too big. It can take up the whole entire target, and that can suck. So I guess it's really to each his own. But I think that really about wraps it up for the video. I probably rambled way too much in there. But I hope you guys got a good gist of the differences between first focal plane and second focal plane and what they're used for and what they're good for. If you found the video useful, consider hitting the like and subscribe button. We're doing really good on like and subscriptions. I love giving you guys information, and I love hearing y'all's feedback. So don't be afraid to go comment. Tell me what you think of a video. I know nobody has a problem telling me a video sucks. Go tell me if you like it. I really do appreciate it, and I respond to everyone, unless you're incredibly negative. And sometimes I still respond to them too. But I appreciate everybody for watching. As always, take someone outdoors, guys, and I will see y'all next time.